Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an oil change on the Road Odyssey C8 Z06. Burke just bought the car. He's got his, because he drives the daylights out of him anyway, so he's got the miles on it, so it needs an oil change. And we trust ourselves more than we trust the dealership, even though we've never done one of these before. But the Stingray was pretty easy. I mean, heck, it's just a matter of pulling a couple of drain plugs, dumping oil, changing the filter, and putting it all back in, right? Well, that's pretty much it. Really, they're not a whole lot different than any other car. Unless you get into some of the exotic supercars, you got to pull panels and everything else and whatever. And I don't own one of those either, and can't afford to own one of them, so I'll never find that out unless somebody else wants to guinea pig. But anyway, stick around. We're going to jump into this, see what we've got, and figure out how to do this thing. Okay, so we've got this oil change kit, and now Burke ordered this from Paragon Performance, and the reason that he ordered it through Paragon is because it comes as a complete kit. So let's go ahead and take a peek and see what we have in the box. It's another one of those what's in the box things, right? So we do have our 8 quarts of 5W50. Mobil 1 is their recommended oil. It's all right, I guess. And then we have another box in here. Uh-oh, we got tools rolling around. And in this box is a new drain plug for the reservoir tank for the dry sump, because this car is a dry sump, as is the C8 Stingray is a dry sump car too, but the C8 Stingray uses a single central drain plug, and it drains both the bottom of the sump and it drains the oil tank as well at the same time. On the C8 Z06, they separated those, kind of like reminiscent of the C7s, C6s, where they had the dry sump systems like our Grand Sports Z06s and ZR1s. And so we kind of went back to that because of this thing having that pesky little flat plane crank V8. Biggest one in production, I might add. And so that's what we get. There's the oil filter. This one uses a cartridge style filter. And for all of you GM guys that think that we're new to this, well, buy a Mercedes. My 06 Mercedes has a cartridge style filter too. Because why? Well, this is European technology. They've been doing it this way for a long time. They're good at it. That's why a lot of the stuff that we do in our country is copied from what they do. Plus, these companies are owned by so many different people that half the time you think you own a Chrysler, but you actually own a Mercedes. How about that? And so it has an O-ring seal for the can on that this goes into also. And that's it. There's nothing else in the little box. That is your complete oil change kit. Nothing else in there. I am a little bit disappointed that Paragon doesn't include some type of a sticker, because there's a blank space on the door over there they could put a little sticker on if they wanted to do something like that. So anyway, that's the kit. We've got all of our tools laid out. We need, for the oil filter housing, is a 32 millimeter socket. We've got that. The drain plug is a 15 millimeter socket, and it also has a little bit different a Torx option too. So when we get under there, you'll see the Torx option that we have for that, so you can choose whichever way you want to go. Again, make sure when you're doing that stuff that you check your torque specs to torque it to the way it's supposed to be. I think this one is 18 foot-pounds, which is pretty standard. And so do you need to get it right on it? It needs to be close. And so my torque wrench goes to 25 foot-pounds, but we'll go to it. It won't click, but we'll get close to it, and we'll call that good enough. We just got to be careful that we don't over-tighten it, because the poor sucker that's doing the oil change next time, which is, again, probably us, it makes it easier on you. So there's that. There's the kit. Got an extension, and be ready to bend over for the doctor's exam at the end. Half drive, extensions, other things like that. We have a funnel and a drain pan over here on the side. And then we got a flashlight in case we have an emergency and need to see something under there. But other than that, I think that's about it. That covers the kit. That covers all the contents. Let's dive into this project. So what we're getting ready to do is we're going to go ahead and start the car up because you want to warm the oil up a little bit. It helps it to thin out a little bit. The warmer oil flows better, and so when you open the drain plug, you get as much of the old oil out as you can, and so that's what we're going to do. So for your benefit, we get to do a cold start. Alright, so let's go ahead and roll underneath this thing and take a look at where everything comes out of and goes back into. I'm going to push stuff out of the way. We're going to lean up to this plug right here. Is the one that came in the box. We're going to replace that plug with that one that's the plastic for the bottom side of the dry sump. The drain plug is right there. That's for the engine, the bottom of the sump, the oil pan. There is a little bit of oil in there, and then we'll come back a little bit, and that is where the cartridge filter is. And so, oops, the plastic that's on the outside of this is the actual cartridge itself, and then the filter, of course, goes inside. We'll show you that once we pull this one out. All right, so we've got the drain plug out, and it's your typical standard GM drain plug. The only thing that I see on this drain plug that I would have like to see is a magnet on the end of it. For the magnitude of what this car is, seems like they should have done that. I'm going to make you dizzy for a second because I'm going to flip this upside down, and we're going to take a quick peek at the drain hole. Alright, so you can't see a whole lot. Here's where the drain plug is. You can see a drip or two of oil still dropping out of it, but other than that, that was it. Really pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and move some stuff around a little bit, put the drain plug back in, torque it down 18 foot-pounds, or a couple of ugga-duggas if that's your choice. But we're going to go ahead and do this part of it. We'll be right back in a minute. Alright, so this is the drain plug for the dry sump. We went ahead and pulled it out. Now, in the Paragon video, they're using a shorter extension. This one I think is a 10-inch, and it makes it a lot easier to use it like a handle to get this drain plug out. So if you've got a longer extension, you have that handy so you can use it for that. Really, so far this has been a pretty straightforward process. We've drained the bottom sump of the oil pan, and then now this is the dry sump. The only thing that we have left to do underneath is to pull out the oil filter and replace the cartridge and that O-ring, put that back together, and then we're ready to lower the car down and dump oil in from the top side. This is a little bit of bonus footage. I just wanted to show you this in case you're not familiar with it, because you know a lot of people that buy these cars don't ever actually do anything with them. They hear about the things. This is your valved exhaust. These are the two valves. Your exhaust comes down, drops across, and these ones are the ones that channel the sound, so you get that nice exhaust sound. But these are the ones that open up for performance and give you a little bit more oomph for the dollar, so to speak. All right, so here's the filter. We're going to clip that in there in a second. But the biggie is if you want to go ahead and pop that ring over, Bert, that clips in there like that.
It's going to go in that way.
Or,
and here's you can see the top part right there. So, all right.
Go ahead and pick that. Basically, we pick that ring off, that old O-ring. Toss it there, slip the new O-ring on, and there may even be enough oil on there.
There's oil still down in the cap in this case.
So that, there we have it.
It's pretty obvious where it goes.
Yeah, just run a little bit of oil around the edge of it, and
I'll get some more from inside there. There's a little bit in here. All right.
Yep. And then the filter, there's the clips. They go in there. And then that'll just pop right in. That's it. Your cartridge is back together. Now it can go back in the car, and we'll dump oil in it here in a minute. All right, so this is the aftermath. This is kind of what we got left over. We've got our drain bucket and the old filter, and the rest of the oil is right there. We did have some kitty litter on standby in case we needed it. But really, that's about it. Pretty easy. Took all 8 quarts. It is just a tick below the absolute full line, and so it's right where it ought to be. All right, so that's it. It was really pretty easy. There's not a whole lot different from the Stingray versus the Z06, other than the extra drain plug for the dry sump and the cartridge style filter instead of your standard spin-on style filter, but really not a whole big deal. It did take all 8 quarts, measured right up to the ticky line up there at the top, so it was perfect. And no leaks. Great, easy enough. If you have any questions or want to know anything about what the actual procedure was, check Burke's video also. I will link his channel down below so that when he publishes the video on this one, you'll be able to see it and get the information from that, because he was underneath a lot more, so probably a little bit more video and pictures and stuff that will help from that perspective. But other than that, if you have questions, drop them in the down below, and we'll get them answered for you. It was really pretty easy though, so you guys that have the Z06s, don't be afraid to do your own oil change. And you quick jack naysayers, perfectly safe, perfectly stable lift. We had no issues, no concerns. Just did your typical due diligence, putting it up in the air to make sure that everything was lining up where it needed to line up so that you got a good safe lift. And it went all the way up, did perfect. So have no problems, and I anticipate that if you pay attention to what you're doing, you won't have any problems either. Be dumb, you'll pay the price. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Yellow Jacket Garage. If you like what you've seen so far, please consider subscribing, and as always, we'll see you on down the road.